Welcome back to Craps University. Today we're going to do something a little bit different and we're going to continue talking about dice setting. And if you're a believer, that's fantastic. There are many people that don't believe dice setting. Dice setting is not only for control, but it is a ritual that you'll see at the craps table. And many people, whether you're a random shooter or a dice setter, have success at the table. So we're going to walk through the 10 most popular dice sets that are out there. Some dice sets are meant to hit specific numbers. Others are just for luck or ritual. And some are designed to reduce the dreaded 7. So you're not guaranteed anything when you throw the dice, other than you're going to make or get some sort of outcome from that dice. That's the only thing guaranteed. There are good dice control craps players, and some, like myself, just like the ritual of setting the dice. So let's get into this. What are the 10 most popular? And we talked about this in an episode before. And one of the most popular that I always see is the 3V. And that's it right there. The threes make a V. On the other side, you have a square pair, and people throw them. And that was aces. So that is the most popular that I see all the time. The next one is just like the V3, but this is a V2 set. And see how the 2s make the V, just like the 3. And again, you have a hard 10 puppy paws on the other side, and people throw them like that. And look at that, aces again. So 2 different sets, the same outcome. And now that is a fluke if I've ever seen one. So the next one is a Hardway set. And this is probably my favorite. And it does drive people crazy at the table when I throw a hard 10, but I have that on the other side. So what a lot of people do is they will turn that so midnight's not showing. And see, you've got 5, you've got 3, you've got 4, you got 2 at the bottom. So they're Hardway all the way around. And then again, we got 6 and 6, which makes midnight. So everything's a Hardway on this set, no matter what. And 9. So why people like this? Everything's very symmetrical about the dice. So the next one is the crossed 6 set. This is one for rhythm rollers, players who focus on consistent tosses, not number manipulation. We've got midnight on one side, aces on the other. Again, it is very symmetrical. and 6. We got one of the opposite sides, but it's more for rhythm. The next set is the chaos set. And really, I see this all the time, and it's just where somebody wants to pick up and throw a 7 up. But the problem with that is you've got 7 on this side, you've got 7 on this side, you've got 7 on that side, and then the underside, you also have 7. When you break them apart, you got a Hardway on both ends. So it's very chaotic. That's why they call it the chaos set, and that's a 6. That's an easy 6. So earlier I talked about the cross 6, but I did the straight 6. That's number 6. This again is for rhythm rollers, but this is the cross 6. And I see this quite a bit too. And that again, that is yo. And then the straight 6, that's for rhythm rollers. And it's really designed to encourage fluid throws. And that's a 6. The next one I also throw myself just because I like, that's the square pair or quad 4. And this aims for a hard 4 or a hard 8. And we'll see if we can get one of those. And 4. We didn't get a hard 4, but we got a 4. And it's not necessarily fair with me standing so close to the back wall. You know, you got to remember, if you're on the other side of the table, this is a 12-foot table. Some casinos have 14-foot tables. You know, it's much different and much harder to control. Let's do it again, see what we get. And 7 out. And that's the first 7 we've gotten during this episode. So the next one's called a double pitch set, or the axis breaker, where the front faces 5 and 2. Five and 2, 5 and 2, and 6. And that is where they're really trying to end that cold run and reset the rhythm. This is more of a psychological type throw, where you're trying to throw or saying that, hey, I've got a 7 showing, I'm going to throw it anyways. You know, it's funny, when the stickman brings the dice to you, they won't bring you a 7 or a craps. They will flip that over, and that's a yo. Then they'll flip it over again. How about that? And then they'll give you a number that's not a 7, not a craps, Oreo. And then there's dice control that have custom sets. And those are for pros, right? The sets vary on the shooter's comfort and grip. Today we're just talking about dice sets, not grips. Grips will probably be in the next. Sometimes I don't necessarily set, but if I can see a 7 showing on the back side or the front side or the top, I do not throw. I'll just move the dice around until I get something else. And then I throw that. And of course, I get a easy 6. Same thing, there's a 7 there, a 6, 1. So I'll turn the dice by 1. And 5. Same, I'll take the dice, no 7 visible, I'll throw it. So that everybody's got their own method of throwing the dice. So do the sets actually work? Here's the real question. Does it matter? If you're a random roller, no, it doesn't matter, because you're just going to pick up the dice and throw, okay? And that's what's going to happen. Random, that's a 7. Randomly, I got another 7. So they might work if I keep rolling 7s randomly. If you're working on control, consistency, or just love the ritual of tinkering with the dice before you let them go, sure, they work. I mean, I do it myself, and I can't, it's just a habit for me. Most casinos don't care if you set the dice. They actually want people to set the dice, just as long as you're not delaying the game. If you're taking more than 30 seconds to set your dice, then there's an issue. Do you use the set because you saw it on YouTube? Here's what to watch for. Match your set to your grip. So when I throw, that's my grip on the outside. There's all sorts of grips. You can do 2 in the front. This is another 7. Use rhythm and repeatability. For me, I always try to hit the same place of the table. And right now, standing where I'm at, that's about right there, because that's usually going to bounce and hit the wall. If I throw it back here, there's a good opportunity for it to only trickle into the wall, possibly, or bounce even back. But if I'm always throwing it, that's a 7. And consistently throwing, I feel better about the throw. Watch other shooters. If they consistently hit 6 and 8, notice what they're setting. You know, you don't have to copy them right away, but if they're consistently hitting, and shooters that consistently go on long rolls, watch them. See what they're doing. See if you can decipher some of their technique. But don't overthink it. Bad execution cancels good setup. So if you're not doing the throw and you're just doing the set, if you're not doing, you got to do the set, the grip, the throw. Probably there's some other variables involved that make it repeatable. You've got to watch everything a person does and how they're doing it, where they're aiming, where they're trying to hit. Everything matters. Dice sets really matter the most when they help you get into the zone of throwing the dice. They add rhythm, confidence, and control. Even if the physics aren't perfect, the discipline and setup improves the game. Like I said, I always try to hit the same spot, and that to me is some rhythm. And that's another 7. So I'm going to stop throwing those dice today. Do you have a favorite dice set? If you do, let's hear about it in the comments. Do you think it's just a superstition? We also want to see what everybody feels setting dice, how they feel about it. And we'd like to talk about it in the comments. If you're looking to get serious with controlled shooting, start experimenting with the 3V and work from there. That is the most popular that I see. I see it almost every time that I'm at the casino. And that's a 4. One of the 3s was up, and the other 3 was on its side. So that's what I would recommend. Start there and go through. And don't miss our breakdown of what dice control or crap superstition rituals. Both are perfect follow-ups to this one. Thanks for watching. Craps University out.